when you talk about shaping higher education in India, which has over 55,000 educational institutions which cater to 40 million young students, I think it's a huge landscape that we are talking about. But it's interesting to see that Viksit Bharat to 2047, and of course earlier, the National Education Policy has said that it's going to increase the gross enrollment ratio to 50% from what it is today, 28% by 2030. So with this, I also want to give the good news that President of France recently announced that they want 30,000 students to visit France to study by 2030, and hopefully there'll be many scholarships also offered to our young students. So while internationalization plays a very important role, we are glad that we have this opportunity of this session. And I'm going to start first with our minister. Very quickly, just to say, Minister Najat, I'm just going to call you Najat, okay? And keep it short. Is a French politician who on 25th August 2014 was the first French woman to be appointed as the Minister of Education. Let's give her a big round of applause. Earlier, she was Minister of Women Affairs, Minister of City Affairs, Minister of Youth Affairs, and Sports. So we're going to be very happy to listen to her, and I'll subsequently go in for a first question for her and introduce people as I ask them the questions. As the former French Minister of Education, you have been involved in shaping higher education in multiple ways. And I've been reading and seeing that. Could you share some of the important initiatives?
Sure. Hi, everyone, and thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here with you. I have learned so many things about Mumbai and India this morning, and it was important for me because it's my first time in Mumbai. Last time I was in India, it was in New Delhi. It was just before COVID-19, and I had this very strange experience that I want to share with you because I was on a stage like that, having a conversation with the hologram of Gandhi. Okay, because at that time I was helping, an institution called the Gandhi Institute of Education for Peace and Sustainable Development. So yeah, that was incredible to have this kind of experience. So I'm happy to be here to answer your question. I think when it's about improving higher education, you have to wonder one thing, to ask yourself one thing. Is it beneficial for an individual and for a country to access higher education? Yes or not? It may seem quite simple, this question, but actually I have noticed that a lot of observers, have like very convoluted answers, like, oh yeah, but not for everyone, and so on and so on. And then I regularly ask them, okay, don't think like if it was anonymous young people. Think as if it was your own children. Do you think it's beneficial for them to go to access to higher education or not? And the response, the answer changes immediately because everyone is convinced that, of course, having pursued higher education is important, whether you finish as an artist, an engineer, a plumber, or anything you want, whether you keep your first choice or you change your paths, having this experience is so important, and especially because all these challenges of our world, the social challenges, technological challenges, environmental, and so on, need a knowledge society. So that's why I would say that the number one priority when it is about improving higher education is democratization of this higher education, which means, having scholarships, as you said, having housings for the students and so on. And then, if you have this democratization, then you need to evolve pedagogy because you need to teach them differently because they are diverse, which means that you have to train better the teachers. And also to recognize better this component of their exercise, which is often under-evaluated compared to research, which is the other part of their job. Third, I would say that because you say that you have a lot of institutions here in India, it's important to have an organization in the territory, a map with all these institutions of higher education and research in order to have like attractive and very visible hubs of higher education and research. And that's what I have done when I was minister in charge of this field. I don't want to be too long, but I will finish with the budget because with this kind of ambitions, you need to have a budget that matches with. But you have to keep in mind that this is not, a charge. This is not, how do you say that, a problem to spend this kind of money. This is an investment to reinforce your country, to reinforce your prosperity in the future, but before all these things, to provide solutions, for all these problems that are waiting for us. The viability of the planet, especially, but not only. So I think this is the best investment that you can do with your budget.
I think this is an excellent answer. And I think all the points that you've said are so pertinent. And as you said, that the problems are waiting for us, but I think they're multiplying by the minute, especially in education. But I have the pleasure now of introducing the Director General, President Vinzi, Dean and President of Essec Business School. It's a pleasure to have you here in Mumbai. And you have played a key role in shaping higher education by promoting forward-thinking, inclusive, and responsible approach to business. Can you tell us how your Transcend strategy that has just been introduced? I knew about the RISE strategy, but I didn't know by the time we were flying into India, the Transcend strategy is coming up. And could you tell us more about that strategy?
Yes, thank you. And good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure, but also an honor for me to be here with you. Also taking into account the long-lasting relationship between the Essec Business School and India. It's both attractiveness for Indian students that represent roughly 20% of our students. It's Indian professors, but also it's links with the country, and I'll come back to this. When I listen to all the projects, challenges, developments that have been shared by the esteemed, outstanding speakers since this morning, it's clear that I'm even more convinced than ever that higher education plays and must still play a crucial role, a societal role, because we heard that when you have economic development in India, it's an outstanding country for that, and the project for the Mumbai metropolitan region, more specifically to Mumbai, is also a very good example. You need infrastructures, but also I think you need talents. And talents, of course, it goes through higher education. Essec, being a business school, needs to play a relevant role in that. But when we think about higher education, very often we think about academic excellence. It's good because we want cutting-edge knowledge to be shared, to be transmitted, but that's not enough. It's not enough because there are two other elements of higher education which are very important. It's relevance, which implies that we need to update. It's not only a matter of the content of the course, but it's also the way they are delivered. It's how we transcend, which is the name of the new strategy for Essec, all sorts of boundaries, which are tangible or intangible, which are physical or immaterial. It's boundaries that needs to be transcended across disciplines, because when you look at higher education institutions, even the top-notch ones in the world, you see that every discipline goes very deep because science progresses and it's great, But the deeper you go, the more risk you risk to have to lose the holistic view of what's happening in the society. And you risk actually to train leaders that are very highly technically with very important skills, but risk to lose the ability to dialogue and talk to others. So the idea is more and more to push the concept of transdisciplinarity, which is across disciplines, but also whenever you transcend these boundaries, we do need to transcend boundaries between the academia and the real world, which is also a risk there. So the point is relevance. We must be obsessed by having really this objective of remaining relevant so as to provide an education that is also transformative, which means that it's not only an investment on the evolution of the human being in terms of the knowledge acquired, in terms of the skills that are built, but also in terms of the competencies that are developed, and transformative is also how the individual evolves. I used to say that when you look at top-notch higher education institutions, for instance, business schools, a few years ago we were providing a passport to our students to enter the professional life. What is a passport? It's something that lasts long. If you don't travel a lot, you go to countries for which you don't need a passport, you don't know where it is, and you don't really care about renewing it up to when the date comes, if you know the date. We are now providing no longer a passport, we are providing a visa. When you enter a country with a visa, so when you enter professional world with a visa, you are much more careful, you have a proactive attitude. And also with respect to the higher education, I think everyone, it doesn't matter what the age is, youth, middle-aged professionals, or even senior in companies, everyone must have a positive, proactive attitude towards its being a leader, towards its education. It's learning to learn, it's being very much convinced, determined of what you know, but also very humble. Because the world changes, so we do have a societal responsibility in training people that actually learn to learn all throughout their life, and we accompany them in their transformative process. So this is transformative education. In order to have a leadership that is multicultural, so relevance is extremely important. The multicultural dimension is also important. When you talk about business school, but many other business schools in the world, and I know that there is another French business school that is dear to your heart, but we talk about international. International is good, but international is a descriptor. There is no engagement in being international. Multicultural is much more. Multicultural means that you listen to other people. When you look at the world nowadays and all the polarized dimensions, the geopolitical dimension, it's conflicts, but it's also, I think, people that lose the pleasure and the ability to dialogue. And a school, business school, higher education, has the role of really pushing this leadership that is multicultural, which is a global footprint, but also whenever you go, here now we are in India, we receive Indian students to France, we need really to be locally embedded, which means we need to care about someone else's culture and enrich each other in this dialogue between culture. This leads, and I approach the end of this first question, to the engagement of reinventing management. This is all the co-construction through transdisciplinarity between disciplines, between professors, but also with the real world. So it's academic, but also non-academic stakeholders, to reinvent managers to really have a role to foster progress. You see, when I think about when I was in my childhood, my generation had a positive image of the progress. Progress was positive by definition. Nowadays, when you talk to the youth, you go to France, I see that the MMR project is very embedded into confidence, trust into the future. When we talk to our students, very often, too often according to me, there is more the fear of the progress rather than an engagement and a confidence into the progress. And I think in higher education, we also have this role through reinventing management, which means co-constructing new models, which are economic models, which are organizational models, managerial models, social models, to really engage ourselves into preparing together, building together a future that is more desirable, a world that is prosperous and resilient. And to end up, Najat, you were saying there is the economic dimension. This is extremely important also for business schools. Essec is a non-profit organization, and I firmly believe it's private, but non-profit organization. I firmly believe that top-notch higher education in the world must be non-profit. because there is investment in research, because there is investment in premises, because there is investment in the quality of services to students, there is investment of becoming relevant, and I think this is extremely important to invest in order to have a large-scale impact. So all these, the ambitions of our new strategy transcend. At the end of the day, and I finish with that, when you think about higher education, you believe that our mission is pedagogy. It's not. You believe our mission is research. It's not. Our mission is accompanying companies. No, those are means. The mission of higher education must be societal, must be really creation of values, but with a long-term perspective for the common good. So a strategy is not, I would say, a development objective. It's really an engagement for society. And once you have that, then you are inspired by values that go to your students, to the professionals that train themselves, and then they are ambassadors when they go into the society. But this implies that our system in higher education is itself a system in transition, just like many other systems around.
Absolutely. Very well said, and there are a whole lot of students here who are sitting here. You can't see them, but they are there, and I met them outside. You're so fortunate to get this piece of advice that you've given so correctly, that it's in transition, and it goes beyond pedagogy, it goes beyond the industry and academia connect, it goes beyond all this, and I think the societal impact, I think, which is the most important. And as you said, for most universities in India are not for profit. So though they do struggle, but it's an excellent move that the government has taken. And with so many thousands of students, I think a large number of them do get many scholarships. But I love the idea of your giving a visa to the student before he goes forward. I think that's something we are going to take it on and adapt it here. But talking about societal, support being given to the school social responsibility being an important part. I'd like to now take over Ronnie, because Ronnie's got a flight, and I only hope he doesn't fly off from here. But, those people before us did tell you that the coastal road will get you there in time. So, Ronnie, let's get you. As you all know, I think who doesn't know Ronnie, is a first-generation Indian entrepreneur, a philanthropist and an opinion leader and an author. A great support to educational institutions. I can just take a little bit of claim to fame that he has been my student, just like you, Sumit. And it's interesting to see that Ronnie is doing so well, and he's pioneering and is today the co-founder and chairman of upGrad. But more than that, if any of you get an opportunity, and if you do get this, please do take your French delegation to Swades, because this is an amazing societal project they are doing. So, Ronnie, with your rich involvement in both Indian education and media, how do you see the interplay between these sectors in developing Mumbai as a rising global metropolis? They talked about MMR, so here it is.
Yeah, thank you, Indu, and good morning. Good afternoon, actually, everyone. I think a lot has been said here, and I think we're all very clear today that the word education is a little bit of a, if I can be controversial about it, a 20th century word, and I think we need to move past that, because education, when you talk about that, has a sense of a boundary and a sandbox, and I think the younger generation today is looking for an entire 360-degree approach. So I think the difference between formal learning and informal learning, between soft skills and hard skills, are merging a lot. If I take the city of Mumbai, I think what we're known for is innovation. And I think at the core of what I've done in media, because this is also a media city, and when you look at education, at the end of the day, at the core of it, for me, it's storytelling. Because the best people and the most faculty you ever remember, and I remember you as a teacher, because of the engagement value. And I think at the core of it, if you just look at the simple sense here, this is actually, it's not easy in a country like India with the statistics that we have for any one city to be a Boston or a New York. or one center of epicenter. But if there was one outside of the infrastructure, I think this city communicates innovation. It also allows you to be extremely in the face of it with business and the future of what everyone needs to go. Because at the end of the day, your learning is about what you're going to apply in real life. So I think the connect that it makes with the business community, the connect it makes here, and at the core of it, the innovation, I think, is the reason why Mumbai can be. Infrastructure-wise, when you're looking at urban universities versus a campus university, this is not the easiest place for that to happen. But I think the connectivity, all of the university campuses actually started on peripheries of cities. So I think the propensity, if somebody were to really plan, like we're planning airports, if we really want to plan that, if we actually take a hemisphere, which is just 50 kilometers outside of Mumbai, which we know is not going to be too much of a commute, and you make that actually a university city, because I think corporates will also go there, there's a significant part. And I think we all want to play a role in that. This is something that we have also put forward to the state government, that we should look at that when we're looking at this, because from that point of view, when you're looking at skilling, there is a cosmopolitan core group here with ambitions and aspirations that are not very prevalent. So I think the other third kindle of the factor, I would say, is the level of ambition and aspiration that comes in the city. And that actually also lights the bulb, so to speak, for anyone who wants to learn and wants to go forward. And that ambition doesn't need to be in South Mumbai, it's in Dharavi. It's the element of entrepreneurship, it's the element of getting out to what you want to do. So I think we're at a very poignant stage. I think if there is a formal approach to creating a university city, you can do that outside, but you need the connect. And I think therefore Bombay and Mumbai specifically has that connect.
Thank you so much. I think what an important point you made. Probably if you looked at the MMR report, which has just come out in September, it talks exactly about the point you talked, which says that instead of, that we should have something like a Dubai Knowledge Park. Mumbai should have a knowledge park, the university park that you talked about, and very important. But it's also very interesting to see that now the government of Maharashtra is encouraging campuses within the corporates, because I think travel is so difficult that it's easier now to have campuses within corporates. So thank you so much, Ronnie. It's an excellent contribution. I come to Mr. Shashi Kiran Shetty, very, very interesting, Chairman Board of Governance, IIM Mumbai, and the founder and executive chairman of Allcargo Group, and continues to be a prominent figure in both logistics and academics. I think one of the first things that I want to say about you, Mr. Shetty, is how did you manage NITI to become an IIM Mumbai, which is what we always needed. We needed an IIM in Mumbai, and you did it. And you've done it, and I've been reading all about you, but I think here people would like to know how you've done that, the transition.
Sure. Thank you, Indu. I'll pick up from where Ronnie left about storytelling, right? That creates always an impact in our lives. In the middle of COVID, I got a call from the government of Education, Ministry of Education, that they've been put me in the board of, made me the chairman of NITI at that time. And it was a big shock and surprise to me. But okay, I have a very well-established business house, specialized in logistics and supply chain management. I'm a simple graduate, and obviously the idea was to bring my corporate knowledge and leadership into the institution, which is what they wanted to achieve. And I was very delighted, and then I see Mr. Tiwari, who's sitting here, was the director of NITI at that time, and he came to my house. I was living in my farmhouse, so he came and then briefed me about what the role and what that I need to do, etc., what are the challenges and what are the opportunities. So he told me, this is a beautiful campus next to IIT Mumbai. It's a 65-acre campus, lush green, having a beautiful view of Vihar Lake. And a few days later, I ended up there and held a meeting with the senior senior deans and the other officials, and came to know about the issues and the challenges and the opportunities more in detail. And with that, we saw an opportunity to get this institution, which has been a legacy for the 60 years, directly managed by the Ministry of Education. And there was a tremendous amount of gap in administration, board, and the entire approval processes and the bureaucracy that was connected to all that. So we started making notes of how we can solve each one of them. To begin with, we changed the entire board. There were 21 members of the board who are quite irrelevant for the purpose of higher education. We managed to get that down and brought some relevant people into the board, and then kept on pursuing what are the other areas of improvement. So one thing immediately came to our mind is that Mumbai is such a great city, and I don't think there are many recognized management schools in the country, in the city. And we thought that why not we try and make an attempt, which was made by a few of the predecessors, to put it under the IM Act. So that's the point that we started picking up and started talking to the government. And I must admit a great effort by the team and by the government of India, who is transforming many areas of education. And they accepted the proposal. And within 24, I think less than 24 months, they made a decision, and the whole thing was approved in the parliament, and we got the assent from the President of India, and the institution came from Ministry of Education under the IM Act. So I think coming back to what she said, and both of them said, it's the end of the day is common sense in many things that both of them what they said, right? And those things are not many times are common. That is a mistake we human beings make in life. So I think it's a great effort from the administration of the institution, and passion and faith that we should be able to get this done. Such a Herculean task, and the whole ecosystem came together, I must say. So that's how this happened. And I'm very privileged being the first chairman of the Board of Governors at Mumbai. Hopefully that will be something of legacy that I would like to leave behind.
Congratulations, and I think a big round of applause for this.
Thank you.
But amazing. The story looks a little similar to ours when you said during the pandemic, you got a call from the government of India. During the pandemic, I got a call from the government of Maharashtra and saying that we were running two standalone institutions, a design school and a school of management and entrepreneurship. And they said that the skills, entrepreneurship and employment department of the state of Maharashtra would like us to become India's first SkillTech university. And so we started Atlas SkillTech University, and we are very, very thankful for all the support we got, especially from Ronnie. It's glad that all the governments are working, and I think the government of India today is really working very, very correctly in the right direction of enhancing higher education. Let's now go to you, Minister Najat, you have you've been the co-director of the Gender Equality Public Policy Program at Sciences Po, which is the most reputed institution, if you all know about it. We would like to know what lessons can India learn on inclusivity and modernization of educational institutions?
When I started this program, which is called Gender Equality and Public Policies at Sciences Po, it was 4 years or 5 years ago. When I started it started with an observation, this sentence, what you cannot count doesn't exist, okay? The necessity of having data on all the big topics that you want to mobilize people on. And that is so true, because for instance, when you try to mobilize people on gender violence, let's say, if you don't have any figure to show the scale of this, you can have people telling you it's only isolated incidents and it's not a social issue. So if you want to show that it is a social issue that calls for public policies, you know, you have to have figures. But then, what else? If you have these figures, that doesn't tell you how to fix the problem. And in terms of inequalities, gender inequalities, you need to learn how to fix the problems because, you know, it is one of these problems that is embedded in our collective psyche, in our social organization. I think that most of the people who are, you know, perpetrating gender inequalities don't do this because of ideology, but only because of laziness, the conformism, the fact of non-questioning the mechanism and the organization and so on. So the idea with this program was to allow our students to question all of this mechanism. And we know that tomorrow, in the future, they are going to be, you know, HR director in a company, or maybe civil servant, or maybe banker, or maybe minister, you know. And in all these fields, they should have the ability and the knowledge to see the inequalities and to react very quickly and to transform the models. It's, you know, it's exactly what we are doing in other fields with sustainable development, and, you know, it cannot be improvisation. It has to be learned. And I would say that my conclusion in terms of what it can, you know, inspire to education systems is that, yes, inclusion should be a key learning objective in education. Because if we want our young people to be able tomorrow to fix the problems of the world, we have to keep in mind that it has to be done with the two ideas, the idea of the equal dignity of humans and the idea of social justice. And this is so important, these values, that we should, you know, take it seriously and really teach them at school.
Good. Thank you so much. And I know that I have to go through all three for another question, but I saw the placard. It's 5 minutes only. So I think some of these discussions we could have during lunch, but I would just like to ask one last rapid-fire question, if that's okay, right? Because we don't want Ronnie to miss his flight. So let's start with Ronnie. This is a little different, and a question that every day, anytime you're in higher education forums, is being asked. Role of AI in shaping higher education. Anyone can go first, if you like.
We should set expectations right. I think where it's a full stop and you throw your graduation hat and then it's over. Education is now a comma, not a full stop. And in that case, I think we all are ready for forever learning. And I think AI plays a role in that too.
Good. Thank you so much. I just wanted to know, do you in your, at upGrad have French students coming in for you, the executive education programs?
No, but we do a fair program in the study abroad part. And last year, we've sent 150 kids to 4 of the French universities in Paris and just outside of Paris.
Good.
So that's the start. It's the second largest destination outside of Germany in Europe for us.
Thank you. I think, you know, talking about AI, you said it so correctly, and I'm going to ask all 4 of you, but I have to say, the shock that my students got when one of the faculty members came in and said that he was going to give an exam in Excel in a written paper. And the students fainted, and we had to really look after them till they understood what was happening. So, you know, that's the change. So, role of AI.
Yeah, I would, since he already spoke about AI, I think I want to talk a little bit about, make this opportunity to talk about the future of IIM Mumbai. Okay, that part is done. Now the next part is what we are thinking to make it one of the best business school in the world. For that to begin with, which I believe, first of all, it is possible with the collaboration of the people who live in Mumbai, highly accomplished, highly educated, highly successful people in different sphere of their own establishments in the country. not just by giving money for infrastructure, also by giving their knowledge and time, like I have given, right? So I'm sure there are more people who want to contribute to that, and I would really welcome them to come and participate in that mission. So with this dream, what we are trying to do now is revamp the entire campus. We would be transforming the whole infrastructure because the infrastructure is not in a great shape. So architect has been appointed, PMC has been appointed, board has approved it. We're going to spend close to about 700 crores in transforming the campus to make the capacity 3 times what it is today, at least 3 times. Right now we have about 1,200, so we can easily take it to 3,600. And it's one of the most beautiful campus, I'm sure some of you may have been. So it will be a pity that we don't make the most out of that campus for the societal benefit and for the benefit of the industry. We not only want to make this campus for Indians, we want to attract foreign students to come here and spend time. And we want to collaborate with universities like of prominence who can add value in AI, in machine learning, and future technologies. India is emerging as a semiconductor manufacturers in the future. We'll have many other opportunities, defense, various other industries are emerging in this country. And we would like the industry and the students benefit from that. And the most important thing which I always tell the management is that end of the day, the whole thing should revolve around the student. Not only in terms of their safety, security, education, learning, but also about industry collaboration and learning with in the corporate world. That's what
I think what you talked about is student centricity, and I think that has to become each and every educational institution's philosophy. Last 2 minutes to go. Yours.
Yeah, I would be
anything you want to speak on.
I think I can go back to AI, which is extremely important.
Sure.
And more generally speaking, I would say it's AI, it's generative AI. Soon we will have quantum computers who are coming. So I think more generally speaking is the question of technology, advanced technology. Is it an opportunity to seize? Is it something to fear? Is it a risk? Well, I think it does not depend on technology, it depends on us. I think the humans have to take the responsibility of not being submitted to the technology, but really you see very often when a technology comes, we look at the technical user's guide. I think there is no instead social user guide for a technology, and we do have the responsibility also in higher education to understand how make things progress. For instance, at Essec, within the strategy, we have a center of humane artificial intelligence. I think it's very important that we try to combine technical dimensions with the human sciences, because then we look at how this has an impact on companies, on organizations, on the way we use it, and how we can help whatever we do through that, because it is indeed a game changer. It impacts even the business model of higher education. It impacts the way you do pedagogy, but also it impacts the content of specific courses, even the core courses. So it's really, a responsibility that we have to take with respect to any technology by linking technology, yes, to business, but also to society and putting the people at the core of it.
Thank you so much. I think everybody said, in this short time, wonderful. I think we've been able to cover everything. Finally, I'm just going to say that I think higher education is not going to be shaped only by the educators or by higher educational institutions. I think each one of you have a responsibility of shaping higher education, as you talked about industry, academia, and the societal influence. I just want to end by a Chinese proverb, which says, when you lived your life, it does not matter what car you rode or what house you lived in, but whether you made a difference in the life of a student. With this, all the best.